You realize that there's got to be a whole new level of social engineering that's got to take place to take into consideration what we used to think we could live with, but we increasingly find that we can't live with anymore. And I must say that I'm usually quite confused when it comes to racism, because I sometimes get it from both sides. I mean, I get discriminated by Malays thinking I'm Chinese, and then sometimes I get discriminated by Chinese thinking I'm Malay. So, but that's quite interesting because it gives me an understanding of both lenses, if you like. I've always thought that one thing that's interesting about racism as we understand it is the fact that, I had an interesting conversation with a colleague just now. I said, what hits you first when you think about racism? And the first thing he said is, well, he related to me an incident, and then he was talking about how he would prefer to be race blind, but there's a problem with it. Even if you don't have in your IC, right, a portion for race, right, you will find that by just reading out the name, you would know whether this person is Malay, Indian, Chinese, or for that matter, a Eurasian, and so on. And that would actually mean that at the end of the day, we're not like Indonesia. You could be Ahmad Widodo, but you're Christian, right? And you're from another part of Indonesia. In Singapore, it's not. If your name is Viswa, you're Indian. If your name is Azman, you're Malay. So we can't quite get out of this. We are all rooted in our ethnic backgrounds. And at the end of the day, it's just quite clear to me that what we will have to do is something that's going to be long drawn. It's a work in progress all the time. And if you remember, someone mentioned about what the late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew once said, that what he wanted to see was integration within Singapore. Singapore is not about whether it's Chinese or it's Malay. Being Singaporean means requires a lot of integration, a lot of mutual respect, a lot of understanding between the different ethnic groups. And that would mean that in the long term, we need to have enough going on within our social circles as well as in government, processes that will encourage this. Because as it stands right now, I think Fahima mentioned just now about not knowing how we should behave. Should we have said this? Should we have said that? For me, I find racial incidents very disturbing because I actually tend to remember them. I remember them too vividly. When it happens to me, I would go through this process of thinking through again and again and again as to whether I did the right thing by saying something or not saying something. Maybe we should be taught about how to deal with this, because I sometimes really don't know. Should I have called out? Did I call out correctly? Did I do too much? Should I have just confronted the person, and so on?